The first plasma blast hit Earth's upper atmosphere at 3:47 GMT. By dawn, the skies above every major city burned with the orange-red glow of orbital bombardment. We had exactly 8 hours to decide humanity's fate: join the Galactic Coalition or face extinction at the hands of the Voth Dominion. That's how quickly everything changed. 3 months earlier, I was just another pilot running cargo routes through the asteroid belt. The pay was decent, the hours long, and the company scarce, just how I liked it. Then came the signal. Not from Earth or Mars or any human colony, but from somewhere beyond Neptune's orbit. First contact wasn't supposed to happen like this. No grand ambassadorial meetings, no carefully crafted speeches, just a simple message: choose. The coalition representatives who eventually landed in Geneva explained that we'd unwittingly entered a war that had raged across 12 galaxies for millennia. Earth sat at a strategic choke point, a cosmic crossroads invisible to our primitive technology, but vital to faster-than-light travel. We were living on prime galactic real estate without even knowing it. "You don't understand," the coalition diplomat told our stunned Security Council. "You have two options: stand with us or be conquered by them. The Voth don't negotiate with pre-spacefaring civilizations. They harvest them." Our leaders debated while I was conscripted, my flight experience apparently valuable enough to fast-track me into the Integrated Defense Force. They gave me 3 weeks of training on technology centuries beyond our understanding, and put me in command of a squadron of pilots who'd never flown anything more sophisticated than experimental fighter jets. We weren't ready when the Voth attack came. 6 massive ships appearing from nowhere, their hulls seemingly absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The coalition defenses surrounding Earth engaged immediately, energy weapons cutting brilliant paths through the night sky. Our squadron was ordered to launch despite protests from our alien instructors. "They need to see you fight," my liaison officer said grimly. "The coalition doesn't waste resources protecting species unwilling to defend themselves." I'll never forget that first battle, how helpless we felt despite controlling craft that could outmaneuver anything humans had ever built. How our weapons seemed to dissipate harmlessly against Voth shields. How quickly my squadron dwindled from 12 to 7 to 3. But then something changed. My co-pilot found a pattern in the enemy ship movements, a vulnerability in their defensive matrix that appeared precisely every 14 seconds. We timed our approach, synchronized our weapon systems, and landed the first human-executed kill against a supposedly superior enemy. The remaining Voth vessels retreated, but not before broadcasting a message to every communication device on Earth: "You've chosen extinction. We will honor your choice." The coalition commanders were impressed, but their expressions remained grim. My surviving pilots were celebrated as heroes, while I was whisked away to a secured facility beneath the Himalayas. That's where they showed me the truth: star charts mapping Voth fleet movements, the massive armada now changing course toward our solar system. "How long?" I asked. 3 days, came the answer. "And when they arrive, humanity will need to prove itself once more, or be silenced forever." 3 days isn't much time to prepare for the end of the world. The coalition commanders moved me to their forward command center, a massive structure that hadn't existed on Earth's surface until 12 hours earlier. Their construction technology alone would have revolutionized our world if we had time to study it, but we didn't have time for wonder anymore. Inside the command center, I met the others, pilots and soldiers from across Earth who'd shown similar aptitude during the first attack. There were 5 of us in total: a Russian submarine captain, an Australian bush pilot, a Brazilian drone operator, a Korean fighter ace, and me. None of us knew why we'd been chosen, but we all carried the same haunted look. We'd seen what Voth weapons could do. "Your species adapts quickly," said Admiral Thex, a tall, silver-skinned being whose gender I couldn't determine. "Most newly contacted worlds take months to integrate with coalition technology. Your neural patterns suggest you 5 may accomplish it in hours." They placed neural interfaces at the base of our skulls. Painful but bearable. Suddenly my mind filled with information. Tactical data, weapons specifications, VOF battle formations from 1,000 different engagements across countless worlds. I saw planets burning, civilizations falling. I saw the VOF's methodical approach to conquest, how they isolated, divided, and harvested entire species. "Why us?" asked the Korean pilot, wincing as she adjusted to the neural feed. "Why not your best pilots?" Admiral Thex's expression shifted in a way that might have been sadness. "Because coalition pilots follow orders and establish tactics. The VOF know our playbook. They've been fighting us for over 4,000 years. But you humans, you're unpredictable. You make intuitive leaps that our tactical computers can't anticipate." "You mean we're expendable," said the Russian captain, his voice flat. "Everyone is expendable in this war," Thex replied. "Even me." The training was brutal. Hour after hour in simulators, our minds linked to coalition battle computers, fighting simulated VOF forces that adapted with each engagement. My body stayed seated in a chair while my consciousness piloted starfighters through virtual space. I died hundreds of times in those simulations. We all did. By the second day, Earth had mobilized. Militaries worldwide consolidated under coalition advisors. Civilians were moved underground where possible. The coalition deployed planetary shield generators at strategic points, but Admiral Thex was candid about their limitations. "The shields will buy us minutes, not hours," they explained. "This battle will be won or lost in space." On the third day, I stood with my 4 fellow pilots before 5 gleaming spacecraft, unlike anything humans had ever built. Sleek and predatory, they resembled hunting birds with forward-swept wings and narrow-pointed fuselages. Their hulls shifted colors as we watched, adapting to the ambient light. "These are Talon-class interceptors," said our liaison officer. "The Coalition's most advanced single-pilot craft, adapted for human neural interfacing. Each is worth more than everything their species has ever built combined." "No pressure," muttered the Australian, though I could see the awe in her eyes. That's when the alarms began. Not the screaming sirens humans use, but a deep resonant tone that seemed to vibrate through bone and tissue. The VOF had arrived early, a tactical move we hadn't anticipated despite all our simulations. The command center's holographic display erupted with light as it tracked incoming vessels. Not the 6 ships from before. Not a dozen. Hundreds. A full invasion fleet arranged in the distinctive wedge formation that had spelled doom for so many worlds before ours. "Get to your ships," Admiral Thex ordered, their silver skin paling to white. "The Coalition fleet is still 30 minutes out. You 5 are Earth's only defense until they arrive." As I ran toward my assigned Talon, the neural interface showed me exactly what we were facing. 97 capital ships, over 400 support vessels, and thousands of fighter craft, all bearing down on the fragile blue marble I called home. The Talon-class interceptor responded to my thoughts before I even settled into the neural cradle. Its systems integrated with my mind so completely that the distinction between pilot and craft began to blur. I wasn't controlling the ship, I was the ship. As the hangar doors retracted, revealing the star-filled void beyond Earth's atmosphere, a strange calm washed over me. "Everyone linked?" I asked through the neural connection. 4 affirmations echoed back, each tinged with a different emotional signature. The Korean pilot, call sign Phoenix, radiated fierce determination. The Russian, Bear, projected calculated coldness. The Australian, Dingo, pulsed with nervous energy. The Brazilian, Jaguar, emanated methodical precision. "Coalition Command has designated us Rogue Squadron," Bear announced. "Apparently it's from some Earth entertainment they found in their cultural database. Thought we'd appreciate the reference." "Appropriate," Phoenix replied. "We're all that stands between Earth and destruction." We launched in perfect formation, 5 arrows streaking toward the advancing VOF Armada. Through the neural link, Coalition Command fed us tactical data and battle plans. The Voth fleet was deploying in a standard grid pattern, their smaller craft forming a protective screen around the capital ships. "They're treating this like routine pest control," Dingo observed, her thoughts tinged with indignation. "They don't even see us as a threat." "Good," I responded. "Let's use that." We split into two groups, Phoenix and Bear taking high orbit, while Dingo, Jaguar, and I swept beneath the approaching fleet. The Voth fighter screen adjusted slightly, but maintained their disciplined formation. They hadn't detected our talons yet, thanks to the adaptive camouflage technology integrated into the hulls. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, the situation was growing desperate. Through my neural link, I accessed global communications and saw what was happening. The Coalition's shield generators were only at 60% capacity, not enough to withstand a full planetary bombardment. World leaders were broadcasting mixed messages, some calling for surrender, others for resistance. Riots had broken out in major cities as people fought for space in underground shelters. But something else was happening too. In research centers across the globe, scientists were reverse engineering the Coalition technology that had been shared. Military engineers were adapting Earth weapons to target Voth weaknesses. Civilian volunteers were converting factories to produce components needed for planetary defense. Humanity was refusing to go quietly. "First wave of Voth fighters breaking atmosphere," Jaguar warned. "They're targeting shield generators." We struck without warning. Our talons dropped their camouflage and engaged, weapon systems responding to our thoughts faster than any manual control could allow. The Voth fighters, disc-shaped craft with overlapping energy fields, broke formation in surprise. They hadn't expected resistance in orbit. I banked hard, diving through their scattered formation, neural link guiding my shots with precision I'd never experienced. 3 Voth fighters erupted into silent explosions before they could regroup. Phoenix and Bear struck from above, creating a devastating crossfire. For a brief, glorious moment, it seemed we might hold them off. Then the second wave came. Not fighters this time, but hunter-killers, specialized craft designed to track and eliminate specific targets. They'd identified our talons as the primary threat. "Evasive patterns," I shouted through the link. "Don't let them lock on." The space around Earth became a deadly dance of light and shadow. Our talons twisted through impossible maneuvers, the neural interface translating our instincts into flight paths no human pilot could execute manually. But the hunter-killers were relentless, their systems adapting to our patterns. Dingo's scream tore through the neural link as a hunter-killer scored a glancing hit on her talon. The ship's self-repair systems engaged immediately, but she was forced to retreat toward Earth's upper atmosphere. "Something's wrong," Phoenix called out. "The Voth flagship is holding position instead of pressing the attack." She was right. The massive vessel, shaped like an obsidian arrowhead, had stopped at the edge of lunar orbit. Smaller ships continued their approach, but the command vessels remained distant. "They're waiting for something," Bear suggested, his thoughts cold and analytical. "This isn't their full attack." Before we could process this information, a new signal cut through our neural link, not Coalition or Voth. It originated from Earth. To all vessels in Earth orbit came a voice, broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Deep Space Outpost Sentinel. We've been monitoring the situation. Reinforcements inbound." The neural link flooded with confusion. There was no Deep Space Outpost Sentinel. Earth had no deep space capabilities beyond Mars. Yet from behind the moon emerged ships, human ships, retrofitted with technology that registered as neither Coalition nor Voth. "Who the hell are they?" Jaguar wondered as we regrouped. That's when Admiral Thex's voice cut through the link, tight with an emotion I couldn't identify. "Fall back to Earth immediately. The situation has changed." "Changed how?" I demanded. "Those are human ships. They're helping us." "No," Thex replied, their voice unnaturally strained. "They're why the Voth came. Your species has been compromised in ways you don't understand. Those ships carry something far worse than the Voth, and they've led it straight to Earth. Fall back to Earth. Are you insane? Phoenix's voice cut through our neural link with razor-sharp frustration. We're finally getting reinforcements. But something in Admiral Thex's tone had set off alarm bells in my mind. During our brief training, I'd never heard the Coalition commander sound afraid. Until now. All Talon pilots, return to base immediately, Thex repeated. That's a direct order. We banked our ships reluctantly, but I kept my sensors locked on the mysterious human vessels. Through the neural interface, I could access enhanced scanning capabilities beyond anything Earth had developed. The ships were clearly human-built, retrofitted mining vessels, exploration craft, even a repurposed space station module. But they'd been modified with technology that matched neither Coalition nor Voth signatures. Look at their flight patterns, Bear observed through our link. Too precise for manual control. They're using neural interfaces too, but different. He was right. Their movements had an unsettling synchronicity, as if all ships were extensions of a single mind rather than individual pilots making coordinated decisions. As we descended toward Earth's atmosphere, the mysterious fleet engaged the Voth forces. Their weapons, improvised but devastatingly effective, tore through Voth shields as if they weren't there. The Voth capital ships began to retreat, something Coalition intelligence had assured us never happened. They're winning, Jaguar marveled. Whoever they are, they're driving back the Voth. The victory should have felt reassuring. Instead, dread pooled in my stomach as we landed our Talons in the Coalition hangar. Admiral Thex was waiting, surrounded by a security detail I hadn't seen before, warriors in sealed armor that concealed their species entirely. The Harbingers have found us, Thex said without preamble as we disconnected from our neural cradles. Your Earth is now ground zero for something worse than an invasion. Harbingers? Dingo asked, wincing as her interface disconnected. Her flight suit was singed where her Talon had taken damage. A parasitic consciousness, Thex explained, leading us deeper into the facility. It spreads through neural technology, incorporating new minds into its network. We thought we'd contained them in the Andromeda galaxy decades ago. Screens lit up around us, showing the mysterious human ships landing at various points around the globe. From each emerged figures in environmental suits, moving with that same unsettling synchronicity. They're human, I realized. Earth humans. Yes and no, Thex replied. Their bodies are human, but their minds are not their own anymore. The Harbinger consciousness controls them now. Deep Space Outpost Sentinel, Bear muttered. It doesn't exist in any Earth database. Because it wasn't built by Earth, Thex confirmed. It was built by humans taken during early space exploration. Abducted, infected, and repurposed. The Harbingers have been studying your species for decades, waiting for the right moment. And the Voth, Phoenix demanded. They came to stop this Harbinger thing. Thex's silver skin rippled with what might have been a bitter laugh. The Voth came to sterilize your planet before the infection could spread. They consider it mercy compared to what the Harbingers would do to your species. The implications hit me like physical blows. The Coalition hadn't come to save us from the Voth. They'd come to save us from something worse, something that was already here, already among us. And now both sides, Voth and Coalition, were considering the nuclear option, Earth's destruction to contain the threat. There has to be another way, I insisted. There is one possibility, Thex said, leading us into a secure chamber I hadn't seen before. Inside was a sphere of swirling energy, contained within crystalline structures. This is a nullifier, experimental technology designed to sever the Harbinger's control over neural networks. If deployed correctly, it could free those already infected and prevent further spread. Why haven't you used it already? Jaguar asked. Because it requires direct neural integration with the Harbinger network, followed by activation from within. Whoever carries this mission can't use protective barriers. Their mind will be temporarily exposed to the Harbinger consciousness. The room fell silent as we all processed what Thex was suggesting. "You want one of us to infiltrate these Harbinger-controlled humans," I finally said. "To let this thing into our head, then activate your nullifier." "Yes," Thex admitted, "and it would need to be at their central node, the original infection point." "Deep Space Outpost Sentinel," Bear concluded, "behind the moon." Screens around us showed the situation worsening. The Harbinger ships had deployed devices at strategic points around Earth, neural transmitters expanding their network. Civilians near landing sites were already showing signs of synchronization, moving in perfect unison, their expressions blank. Military responses were failing as soldiers came within range of the transmitters. "You have hours, not days," Thex said. "The Coalition fleet cannot reach us in time. The Voth forces are regrouping beyond Mars, likely preparing a final strike to destroy Earth entirely." "I'll do it," Phoenix said suddenly. "No," Bear countered. "I have combat training against mind control tactics." "My neural compatibility is highest," Dingo argued. As they debated, I stared at the nullifier and felt a strange resonance with it. During our training, my neural adaptation had been uniquely successful. The technicians had commented on it repeatedly. A notification flashed through my residual neural link. An encrypted message, origin unknown. When I accessed it, I saw a simple text: "They're lying to you." I looked up sharply, meeting Admiral Thex's eyes. Something flashed across their expression. Concern, fear, guilt. Before I could process it, alarms blared throughout the facility. "We're compromised," a Coalition officer reported. "Harbinger-controlled humans have breached the outer perimeter." The lights flickered, and Thex's expression hardened. "Choose now," they demanded. "Who will carry the nullifier?" I stepped forward even as the mysterious message echoed in my mind. "I'll do it." As Thex handed me the nullifier, surprisingly light for something so powerful, another notification blinked in my neural interface. Same unknown origin. 3 simple words that made my blood freeze. "The Harbingers are Coalition." Time seemed to freeze as I gripped the nullifier, that message burning in my mind. "The Harbingers are Coalition." I caught something in Thex's eyes, not surprise at my decision, but calculation. They'd expected me to volunteer all along. "Get to the Talon Bay," Thex ordered. "We'll provide cover while you launch." As we moved through the corridors, I discreetly tapped into the neural link still active in my implant, sending a tight beam message to my squadron. "Something's wrong. Meet in Bay 3, not Bay 1. Within minutes, we had regrouped in the auxiliary hangar while alarms blared throughout the facility. I quickly shared the mysterious messages. "It could be Harbinger manipulation," Bear cautioned. "Or it could be the truth," Phoenix countered. "Think about it. The Coalition arrived with neural interface technology that just happens to be compatible with human brains. And now the Harbingers use similar tech." Dingo accessed the facility's systems through her implant. "The Voth communications are being jammed by Coalition forces, not Harbingers. They're preventing us from hearing the Voth side." A plan formed in my mind, dangerous but necessary. We split up. "I'll take the nullifier to the moon base as planned, but not to use how Thex instructed. The rest of you, try to establish contact with the Voth flagship." "They'll shoot us on sight," Jaguar protested. "Not if you broadcast on these frequencies," I said, transferring the data I'd extracted from the Coalition's secure communications. "The Voth have been trying to communicate, not just attack." We launched our talons under the chaos of the facility breach. As I accelerated toward lunar orbit, the truth unfolded through fragmented data I'd downloaded during the transfer. The Coalition wasn't fighting the Harbingers. They were the Harbingers, an advanced faction using the war with the Voth as cover for assimilating promising species. The neural interfaces weren't tools. They were infection vectors. The outpost Sentinel loomed ahead, not the enemy base I'd expected, but a desperate human resistance. These weren't Harbinger-controlled humans. They were survivors who'd escaped Coalition protection years ago and discovered the truth. I was greeted not as an enemy, but as the potential savior they'd been communicating with secretly. The nullifier is keyed to coalition frequencies, their commander explained. Reverse-engineered from their own technology. It won't harm humans. It'll free them. Meanwhile, my squadron had accomplished the impossible, making contact with the Voth. Through the neural link, I witnessed their exchange. The Voth weren't conquerors but quarantine enforcers, fighting to contain the coalition's parasitic expansion across the galaxy. The true purpose of the nullifier crystallized in my mind. Not a weapon against the fictitious harbingers, but a tool to disable whatever failsafe the coalition had planted to control humanity once we were fully integrated. The next hours passed in a blur of coordinated action, my squadron broadcasting the truth to Earth's forces while I modified the nullifier with the Resistance's help. When I finally activated it, targeting the coalition's command networks, the effect was instantaneous. Coalition ships froze in space as their neural control systems failed. On Earth, their humanoid forms collapsed as the controlling consciousness was severed. 3 days after the initial attack, I stood with my squadron and representatives from both human resistance and Voth forces as Earth's leaders gathered to hear the full truth. The galaxy wasn't divided between coalition and Voth, but between those fighting for autonomy and those seeking to absorb all consciousness into one collective. So what happens now? Phoenix asked as we watched the Voth ships preparing to depart, their quarantine mission complete. I touched the spot where my neural implant had been removed. Now humanity joins the real galactic war, the one for independence. Bear smiled for the first time since I'd met him. At least no one will doubt where we stand. The stars look different to me now, not distant and unreachable, but filled with allies and enemies, dangers and possibilities. Humanity had survived its trial by fire, earned its place among the stars not through technology or power, but through our most human quality, the stubborn refusal to surrender our individuality. The real war was just beginning, but this time, we knew what we were fighting for.